Hello. So before I get to talking about spec work, which is today's topic, I wanted to show off some of the sketches that I've been doing for artist editions of the book. Last time I showed you the little mini prints that I've been printing up, and this week I wanted to show you some of the sketchy McSketchersons. So this one, I haven't put in the dedications yet, but this one's got a little lance. He's saying that this volume needs more lance. The next volume will be mostly lance. Let's see, this one, I've got Julie holding up a pepper like Chairman Kaga from the original Iron Chef. Let's see, this one I got an Iron Puppy Cow just because it's so cute. And here's one of Allie, Justice Catwoman, asking herself if Kane likes to read Batman comics, because then she'll seduce him with a catsuit. So, spec work. Last Friday I was invited to speak to Ross's design classes and demonstrate some Photoshop stuff and talk a little bit about what it's like to be a design illustration professional and things to look for when you're working. And one of the topics that didn't come up, which I'm kind of surprised about, is spec work. Spec work is speculative work that you are asked to do for a greater reward, and whatever that reward may be. Like maybe you'll get to rub shoulders with the president, or maybe your design will be seen by bajillions and zillions of people, or maybe you will get paid. But spec work is done for free with the hope of getting that reward at the end of the project. Now, in the design community, there's this whole no spec movement. No spec work. I think there's even a website, and I'll link to that in the show notes. But the idea being that spec work devalues design in general. And what they include in spec work is these crowdsourcing sites where companies with limited budgets or unwilling to spend much on design will put up a project and say, we want a logo and we're willing to pay you $100, and then they put it out to one of these crowdsourcing sites, and designers throw up their stuff and say, pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me, and the company will go with somebody, or sometimes they don't even pick somebody, and then they hire or get one of their internal people to copy a design that they liked on one of these spec sites. So the whole crowdsourcing movement, the whole speculative work, the whole you're going to get really great exposure if you do this thing, it's kind of bullshit, and it's something that the design community is fighting against. Now, unfortunately, if you're not a designer and you don't know anything about design, and you don't know the difference between good design and bad design, and you don't understand what the benefits are from developing a good relationship with your designer, maybe you don't give a shit about spec work. Maybe you don't give a shit about the quality. Maybe you're interested in getting a fucking logo done. And so if you're one of these companies that wants to save a couple bucks and can outsource some shit to one of these contest sites, from a financial standpoint, it makes a lot of sense to just say, hey, here's 75 bucks, design me a fucking logo. Put it up there. A week later you've got 100 designs, and if you're not a designer and you're just a guy looking for a simple logo and you can afford to spend 75 bucks, you're not going to care that half of the designs that you're choosing from are plagiarized, or that the final design you pick is done by a first-year student who doesn't know their ass from a Photoshop. So, I mean, there are two sides of the argument, and unfortunately, I think with the spread of these contest sites and these spec sites, I have a feeling that the traditional designers are going to have to adapt, because spec work and crowdsourcing, I don't think they're going away anytime soon, and I think crowdsourcing is actually growing these days. But there's another aspect to speculative work that I wanted to talk about as directly related to comics. And most often, comic work for indie producers or indie creators is speculative in nature. I mean, we all do our work for free. Like I put this stuff online for free, with the promise to myself that perhaps I can reap the benefits of, gaining an audience and building a reputation online and that kind of thing. So a lot of times, comic projects tend to be speculative in nature. You spend a couple of years putting together a book or putting together a pitch packet, and you send it to a publisher, and you get rejected, and that's all free work. That's all stuff. That's all time you could have spent doing things that make you money, like picking up a second job or staying late at your other job and getting paid some overtime and stuff. But you decided, because you are an awesome comicer, to put that extra time into the speculative project. So in terms of comics, comics is unless you're work for hire, working for one of the big publishers, it's all spec. Even if you've got to deal with image, you're paying up front for things like advertising, and I think you actually do you pay for some of the costs for production and stuff. There's a lot of spec work in comics, and a lot, like if you have an idea for a project and you want to put it out there, like either on the web or self-publish it, or maybe pitch it to a group like Image, and you get together with your friends and you work on this thing, that's all spec work. You're working for yourselves, but it's all speculative. So if you're an illustrator or a designer who is totally anti-spec, that's awesome. And if you can get paid for everything that you do, that's even doubly awesome. Like, I imagine at this point Alex Ross never has to, collaborate with a writer for the hopes that something will get published. He can go out there and say, I'm fucking Alex Ross, pay me money and I'll paint you a fucking cover. But for the rest of us, doing independent work, publishing on the web, publishing books ourselves, I mean, really, we're dancing in the spec arena. We're just kind of dancing around, doing all the spec work, crowdsourcing our development and stuff. Crowdsourcing opinions on our stuff, reactions and things like that. Hell, Kickstarter is all about crowdsourcing. You're asking random people that you don't know to support you on a speculative project that you haven't even done yet. So there's that aspect to spec work, and I think those who are 100% hardcore against it, I understand where that stance is coming from, and for the most part, I do believe that we as artists should get paid for our work, and I will personally not do anything that I don't feel some personal connection to for free. Like if some stranger on the street asked me to design them something, I'd say, no, I really would rather not do that, and if you really are interested, I would like it if you would pay me. But there are times when a friend just says, hey, can you take a look at this? I need some ideas, or maybe change this a little bit. Can you do that for me? And I'll say, yeah, sure. It'll take me 5 minutes, whatever. I don't really need payment if I'm just gonna move a little pixel this way. So my personal philosophy, I guess, on spec work is kind of sliding here and there. It's still forming. I will do free stuff for my friends and family because they're my friends and family, and generally they know enough not to take advantage of me. But even if it's a really cool sounding project, I usually hesitate. Like, I don't do a lot of stuff just for exposure's sake. I will do stuff for trade, but straight up, oh, your work will get seen in front of like a bajillion people. I'll be like, I don't give a fuck. If I'm working for free, I might as well work for me. Now, of course, if Ghibli or Bandai, if Bandai came calling and said, "Hi, we would like you to design the next Gundam series," and we won't pay you, but we'll give you all the free model kits that you want ever? I would say yes, because that would be like a dream job. If Bandai asked you to design them the next Gundam series, perhaps that would not be something that you would want to do. So there are instances in which I would take spec work or do spec work. Few and far between, and unless you're a family member or a close friend, those situations are going to be much, much more difficult for you to get free work out of me. I guess I just wanted to throw this out there to the rest of you cartoonists or illustrators and designers, and ask some of your thoughts on spec work. Like, are you completely for it? Are you completely against it? Or are you somewhere in the middle, like me? Or do you consider crowdsourcing not the same as spec work? Because I know there's some people out there who don't consider crowdsourcing to be spec. So I'd like to hear your opinions, designers and artists out there, and I guess in general anyone out there in a creative field. What are your thoughts on working for free? And under what circumstances would you work for free? Under what circumstances would you absolutely not work for free? That kind of thing. So I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment on the YouTube page, or on the blog, or on the comic, or wherever the hell you're finding this. Thanks for spending some time and watching this. And I'm gonna stop now before I keep rambling. All right, thanks. Bye.